Hello and welcome back, and today we want to talk about the DS220+. Namely, we want to say 5 reasons why you should buy it and 5 reasons why you shouldn't. I've already done a hardware review of this yonks ago, it's like 2 months ago, but now I want to keep it nice and simple. 5 reasons to buy it, 5 reasons to not buy it. Reason number 1 you should buy it is a really good price. Given this is a new modern generation Synology device in diskstation, I kind of assumed a lot of their newer generation devices would arrive with a significant price increase of around 15% at the very top. But this is arriving at pretty much an identical price to the DS218 that came before it, which, given the release difference of almost 3 years, is really impressive. And I'm really pleased to say that this device is arriving at a price point that makes it incredibly approachable and, as an Intel-based NAS, incredibly improved over that of the J's and the Plays that we've seen previously. Next, that CPU. It's taking advantage of that new J series CPU. And another thing, when we thought this device was going on, we were speculating about a lot of the hardware when we first heard about this device, about a year ago. We didn't think we'd get a CPU that good. The J4025 is one of the latest generation of Celeron processors for NAS. It's a dual-core 2.0 GHz processor that can be burst up to 2.9 GHz. It's a great processor. It does a lot, 4K 1080p transcoding. And on CPU benchmark, it's quite close in terms of its overall score to the 4-core processor that came before it. What I'm saying is, for a dual-core, affordable prosumer NAS, there is a hell of a lot to say about that CPU and does make it attractive. Reason number 3 is the fact that it is dual LAN in architecture. The previous devices that came before this one, in this series of devices, were all one LAN, so limited to 1 GBE or 100 megabytes. The fact that this is dual LAN opens the door to link aggregation and port trunking, and therefore the ability to have up to 200 megabytes connection to a supported switch or connected LAN device, like a couple of LANs from a PC, and therefore with bigger file types all the time, from VMs all the way through to Plex Media Server 4K, which again, transcoding not really possible on this. It is still great to see more than 1 GBE on a standard class NAS. Next, reason number 4 is the fact that this device has got a USB copy button, which I know seems anodyne and quite rudimentary in the extreme, but the majority of new Synologies do not arrive with a USB copy button. And if you're someone that has a multi-tiered backup strategy in mind that has a USB drive, you can tell me till the end of the day, Eddie the web guy who's definitely watching this, if you connect to Synology NAS with a USB drive, a number of them have an automated procedure where it will see the drive and begin your backup routine, a differential backup, a sync backup, a one-way backup, a two-way backup, or a backup from the NAS to the drive or the drive to the NAS. But I want to know that it's doing it. I don't just want to trust the status light. And a physical button gives me that confidence that I have done a thing where I can go away, make a cup of tea or whatever, because I'm British and that's apparently what we do, and then we can come back and double check that that copy's done. So I like copy buttons. Reason number 5, this is probably one of the best placed kind of entry points into DSM in my opinion. As mentioned, there are other units lower than this on the price spectrum. You've got likes of the J series, the 220J, the 420J, the 120J. You've got the older generation in the Play, you've got the older generation in the J, in the Standard. But with this is a very well placed Intel-based 2-bay NAS with 2 gig of DDR4 memory, and when it comes to Synology's DSM 6.2 software with 7 at the end of the year, it is just very well placed to be the perfect first step into DSM for a number of you out there that are thinking about buying a NAS but just aren't sure about how much they can commit to this investment. So for me, it's a great entry into DSM 7. But it's not all good. What about the bad? Reason number 1 that you shouldn't buy this. 6 gig of memory is the maximum. This is one of the generation of Synology NASs that not only has only one upgradable slot with the core 2 gig of memory being soldered to the main board so it's not changeable, but also that the maximum memory it supports officially is 6 gig. So that's a SODIMM slot inside that you can install a 4 gig official memory module and can only go up to 6 gig of memory, even though that CPU can support up to 8 gig. So you feel a bit nerfed by 2 gig. And the fact that you can only use Synology memory because of that soldered memory as well is always a bit annoying. Reason number 2 that you might not want to buy this device is the lack of eSATA. Now, the previous generations of this device had one LAN and an eSATA port, and that eSATA could not be used to expand your storage with the the DX517. What it was for was to use an expansion or an eSATA drive and see it as external storage, which I know isn't great, but it was better than nothing. And the idea that you at least had that option and removing it from here to have another means to have an external storage connected for backup or just extendable storage is going to be handy. Reason number 3 that you might want to buy this device is because of the USB ports. I've already talked in great, positive detail about the USB copy button there on the front, but there's only one other USB 3 port on this device, and I know their expansion devices, which this doesn't support, use eSATA, and USB ports on these devices can be used for UPSs, external storage, printers, heartbeat monitors if you want to run a high availability setup with 2 devices, but only 2 USB 3 ports just seems a bit cheap, because I swear we've seen more USB ports on previous iterations of most of the families, and Synology has seemingly scaled that back. They are USB 3, which is great, but there's only 2 of them, and that one on the front you can't really use for more than ad hoc connectivity. So really there's only one usable long-term port, which isn't great moving forward. Now, reason number 4 you might not want to buy this device, and this is kind of a Mickey Mouse one, because I know this is why a number of you feel I'm not quite with you on this, but I know it is a pertinent concern, is the fact that this is 1 GBE per port only. Now, the newer generation of Synology devices seemingly have all arrived with 1 GBE, but all of them with link aggregation. But in this marketplace of 2.5 GBE, 5 GBE, and of course 10 GBE becoming more and more affordable, a lot of you feel like the newer generation of Synology NAS should have greater than 1 GBE on board. And there is support of link aggregation, but there's still only 1 GBE each. You need a supported switch to even take advantage of lag. My point is, although I don't think a device at this price point needs 2.5 GBE, I know a number of you disagree with me. And on top of that, a lot of their main competitors have all started introducing 2.5 GBE and upgradable PCIe slots on their devices at a similar price point to this, whilst this has 1 GBE, so I know it annoys a number of you. And reason number 5 that you might not want to buy this device, and this is kind of a silly one, but it's weirdly something you guys bring up quite a lot. It's that front panel. It's a bit of an odd one, this, but that front panel is not magnetized or anything. It's held in with those little rubber suction things that sort of wrap around the drive, and inside you've got 2 trays. Now, most devices don't have this. This is probably the last device in the Synology family that has this weird removable front panel, which I personally quite like the design of. I would kind of like it as a door if it was anything. The fact that it's removable and you've kind of got to semi-jam it in there a little bit isn't great, but I don't mind it. But I know a number of you look at this and wish it looked like this. This is the DS720, and the 720 has those trays and they're flush and lockable, whereas this device with its removable front panel not only doesn't have lockable bays, but that panel isn't attached. It's not. It just seems a bit of a weird design choice in 2020, given that they phased this out of the majority of their NAS series of devices. But this has been 5 reasons to and to not buy the new Synology DS220+. I personally really like this device, although it's not my favourite of the new range of 2020 devices, with the 720 definitely being my favourite. Maybe you feel differently. Do let me know what you think. Maybe there's a pro or a con I didn't touch on. Let me know in the comments. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Click like if you've enjoyed it. Click subscribe to learn more. Read the review at NAS Compares in the link in the description. And I will see you next time.